Good morning, everyone. Jim Clark here at the Synchronicity Sanctuary in Central Virginia to share another contemplation with you on this wonderful Monday morning. So, the contemplation that I want to share with you today is the substantiation of oneness. Unified consciousness is an integrative wholeness. So, this is a contemplation that is like all koans, it's referencing a state of being that can only be accessed through the establishment of presence. It's beyond intellectual hypothesis, and it's taking a holistic model of reality to an experiential level that's available to human experience. And the process that's required for that experience is a constant focus on actualizing the experience of presence. And that is, of course, meditation and holistic lifestyle, a lifestyle that supports the body in such a way that it can support a more subtle and a more energetically powerful experience of you as consciousness. So, in my early formative years in this process, it seemed for a long time like this was more hypothetical than real, because you begin from where your feet are. And where my feet were was I'm a human being separate from all other human beings. I have a body that's physical and yet vulnerable. I have a life to live, and I have fears about being able to survive, and I have challenges in terms of creating myself in such a way that I'm functional in the world so that I can maintain my life on my own, so to speak. So all this is going on. This is very common for us here, and we grow up that way, thinking that we are flesh and blood, and we experience ourselves in that way. We experience everything around us, objects that are solid. So physicality has a reality that we give it. Because what we're unaware of, and what the holistic model of reality teaches us, along with meditation, so we can actually validate it, is that we are consciousness. And because we are consciousness, when we come into human form, we have a lot of power, but we don't know we have the power. And we give our power to the beliefs that we acquire in the early years of our life, in our acculturation process. And so if we believe that there's a world outside of us that's separate from us, that's what we create. And it's very real. It is a reality, but we are the ones creating it. And this is what we are oblivious to. To us, we are the victims, or participants at best, in a world that's around us, but not of us. So we have the separation, the experience of separation, the experience of fear-based living, and there's a world that people we're competing with. There's people that we're trying to get something from, like consensus, so that our beliefs are substantiated through somebody else. And we want love from somebody else, and we want security from somebody else. And of course, as we go through life, if we're aware, if we are observational with ourselves, we realize at some point that there is no security. But we don't realize, unless we cultivate presence, is that we are the creators of our own reality. And it is at this point, when there is some measure of presence that you can experience in yourself as a constant, that's when you fully realize, or begin to fully realize, that there's so much more to life than physicality. It's well known today that most of the energy in this world and in the universe and so forth is just that, of all the solid forms that exist as stars and planets and so forth, as well as in the human body, the subatomic particles, the atoms, and then the cells in the body, some 8 trillion or so. All of this physicality really only accounts for a small fraction of the energy that's there. And yet we experience it quite the opposite when we begin life. We don't experience the energy that we are. We experience the physicality we are. We experience the vulnerability that the body has. And that's a reality that we have to honor and live with. So the process of becoming present to yourself, establishing a presence, which is simply the consciousness that you are coming into your awareness as a part of your existence. So it's not like it's destroying the body. It's not something that you have to fight with. It's not a competition. It's an awareness process. But it's an awareness that is dynamic, and it brings with it the fulfillment of your life eventually. And this is why people have done this. When they go through life and they experience it, no matter what you do, if you try to get love from outside yourself, if you try to get security from outside yourself, if you try to get anything that's lasting and worthwhile from outside of yourself, it invariably fails. And this is the process of living life unconsciously and then coming to the realization, and therefore developing the momentum to go inside and stop trying to get everything from the outside. When you meditate on a daily basis, that shift in your focus from going outside with your senses, you're constantly interacting and looking outside of yourself for whatever reasons, that reality is a dominant reality in your life. And so the experience human as a solid, vulnerable flesh and blood body is emphasized to the point that your awareness of the energy that you are is not even in your awareness. But through the practice of meditation, you breathe, you put a focus on yourself in a way that is spiritual. We use the word spiritual, really. It's just non-material. It's something energetic. It's something that flows and is dynamic and it's alive. It is life itself. It's the essence of life that you're focusing upon. You're focusing upon yourself as that essence. Whether you realize it in the beginning or not, this is what you're really trying to do, is you're trying to get to the source of yourself where you can create something real, ultimately real. The ultimate you, the you that existed before you took this form, the you that's going to return to formlessness when you're through with this human life. So in the beginning, when you're working with all of this process, it's a very difficult and challenging process, and it's probably the most difficult time as a meditator, as someone who's seeking the truth, to go through, because all the beliefs that you hold inside yourself that are contrary to the truthful experience of yourself as consciousness have to go. And you generate that process because you actualize experiences. You have a peak experience. You meditate, you have a peak experience, you're blissed out, and your body is flooded with endorphins, and this is the high of meditation. This is where many of the benefits of meditation are recognized from that endorphination that relaxes your body. It takes the stress out of your body. But that experience is contrary to much of what you believe about yourself. And those beliefs and your attachments to those beliefs must be broken. You must clear all of that out, because you're still consciousness. You are the source consciousness that is the creator of all and everything. And if you put your focus and energy into that belief system that keeps going back to, well, I'm just a human being and I've got to get this up from that person. I need that. I'm afraid of life. I could die. I could be hurt, and so forth and so on. Then there is a push and a pull. You can have the high in meditation, and then you go back into your normal, where you're more comfortable with believing that you're just a human being and that you're vulnerable and that love is not something you can really get, and so forth and so on. You get a negative experience of life when you go back into that mode, but then the experience of meditation and the peak moments that bring you into a moment of realization, a moment of experiencing the bliss that you are, pulls you back into that practice and that lifestyle. So the key here is to be able to maintain a consistent focus on the exploration of who you truly are. It's not going in with a belief system. It's really more of a process of going in to discover and putting belief systems that you have acquired to the side and allowing your own experience to generate the answers to your questions about who you are and what life is. And in this process, as you do, oftentimes there's history involved with these beliefs, and there can be some very powerful negative emotions that come with that, or there can even be some physical symptomologies that can arise as a result of this process. All manner of things, kriyas, sudden bursts of energy in your system that appear to be abnormalities. Maybe something's wrong with you, see. But this is not true. This is really just a clearing process that you're getting rid of the bits and pieces of your own beliefs that are interfering with the full experience of yourself as you truly are. That's all it is. And it can be a long process or a short one. It depends on how you approach it, how good of a teacher you find yourself with, if you've got an understanding of the process of meditation and the process of the clearing and the establishment of a more blissful, real, and truthful experience of yourself. If you can maintain that practice, if you live daily, meditate daily, live a holistic lifestyle that supports it by choosing healthy foods and getting some exercise every day and trying to find clean air to breathe and so forth and so on, the more that you devote yourself to the process of awareness, growing your awareness and your own realization of who you truly are, then the more you are likely to, inevitably actually, you're going to start noticing that there's a reverberation that's with you, a new one, something that comes into your awareness. And along with that reverberation, that energetic presence, there's also I would say the bliss content. What was a peak experience now becomes your normal. That aha moment when all of a sudden you were, wow, this is really great. I'm discovering my spirituality. Well, what you're doing, once that reverberation and that vibration becomes a constant in your experience, you're establishing that truth as your new constant. And when you get to that point, most of the challenges in meditation are usually in your past. You've cleared a lot of your data, and now the experience of meditation is pleasurable. It's more pleasurable and more fulfilling than anything that you used to turn to as a dense human being to get pleasure or to offset displeasure. So meditation and the holistic lifestyle is the way to substantiate the oneness and the unified consciousness that you are. It's an integrative wholeness, which simply means it's a process of integrating the truth while you're still living in the illusion of who you are not. So that's been the experience I've had here at Synchronicity for many, many years, and I can attest to the efficacy of meditation, high-tech meditation that we use here, and the lifestyle that goes with that, where you minimize distractions, maximize practice, and realize the fulfillment that you came into this world to experience. So I hope this has been helpful for you. It's a endeavor. In fact, in my experience, it's the only endeavor I found so far that's worthy of such a focus and such consistency. The substantiation of oneness. To realize that you are unified consciousness is, to me, the be-all and end-all of life. And once you get there, then you have something that you want to share. You want to help people. You want to be a living testimony to what is possible in the human experience, in such a way that you might encourage somebody to take on that exploration for themselves. So that's why I'm doing these live streams here, just to help share some of my experience along these lines that might give you something to stimulate you in your practice. So that's pretty much it for today. I will be back again next Monday with another contemplation to share with you. Thank you.